Hello, guys. Please respond in the comments so that I know how many of us are here. Hello, guys. So I'm hoping you have taken the full-length quizzes. Good evening, Pritika. I hope you're doing well. Have you taken the full-length quizzes and the English quiz? As I informed in the day, English is a well-scoring subject, and you must not miss out on the opportunity to answer the questions of English well. So it's great if you focus on it and identify areas which you struggle with so that you can try and score more with those areas. Hello, Aditya. Good evening. Nice to see you here. Pritika and Aditya and a few other students have been regular, so I really hope you are doing well. And I would also like to take this opportunity to encourage you to retake the mocks. The mocks are not just there for you to be practicing once. You can go back and see if you've improved on the concepts that you answered wrong earlier with. So I think around six students over here. So we must begin now. I'll be sharing the presentation wherein there are many questions, about 75 questions on English language. Again, you must remember that it's okay if you get them wrong. You just need to understand the basics of how they work. And let's not try to jump into way too much right now. You cannot be reading dictionaries at this stage. You just need to focus on what you can do. So it would be best if you could focus on just generally completing your mocks and reattempting the mocks. At this, otherwise, you should be doing a lot of reading to help your comprehension and your vocabulary and everything. But right now, I wouldn't like to have you jump into all of that because there is not a lot of time. So let's just focus on the few things we have at hand, beginning with your English quiz, of course, then parts of your full length mock, also discussing the English language in detail. So, how have you done so far with the English language questions? And I would like to encourage, will the quiz be here now? Yes, Dipali. I believe I've not seen you in the quizzes so far, but that's okay. Just make sure you're attempting the mocks. You attempted all of the mocks. Then the marathons, quizzes, all are available on this very channel. You can go back and watch them. And you can, the good thing is that with these, after the quiz ends here, it will stay recorded, and then you can use the playback option for your advantage, and you can watch it at 2x, or you can skip ahead and find out what the correct answer is. So this 2 hour session, or however long the quizzes take, can be condensed into 15-20 minutes or so. So yes, just the questions will be displayed on screen. I'll give you a bit of time to try and answer, and then we'll discuss the correct answers. That's how these quizzes work. And yeah, so with that, let's begin. It's okay, we just have to read through the questions just briefly. And okay, so Shaktija thinks she's making mistakes in spelling portions. And that's okay. We would see, the only thing that can help this is practice, Shaktija, and just try and make sure that you're reattempting those questions again and again, and not becoming very mechanical and very robotic in answering those questions. Just make sure you're reading it well. The first thing that helps you out is reading, having a very keen eye when it comes to reading the options. So try and do that first and then answer the questions. And whatever you're misspelling, make sure you're not misspelling that twice. If you misspell it once, learn the correct spelling and don't make the same mistake again. So again, there is no this is as comprehensive as it gets, the amount of work we are putting in, but there is no 100% preparation. We cannot predict every single question that's going to come in, which is why we must generally, as a practice, improve our reading, try to get in many diverse forms of reading, and be very curious in what we come across. try to find out the meanings of different words, the usages, and so on. So with that, let's start with very basic questions. A very common feature, that is changing the form of a sentence, changing the form of speech. So we know there is direct speech and indirect speech. So some questions are phrased like this. Change the sentence from direct to indirect speech, right? So if the sentence is saying Tim is the narrator and Tim is saying she works in an office, now what will the form of indirect speech be? Tim said blank, that she what? Is it option 1, Tim said that she worked in an office? Or is it option 2, she worked in an office, this was said by Tim? Is it her working in the office was reported by Tim? Or is it Tim reported about her working in an office? And because Shaktija has given a response already, so Dipali, Shaktija has given a response. So I'll start the timer with your 5-second time to answer the question within which you must answer it. You've answered as well, and we are correct. Tim said that she worked in an office. The only thing that happens is that the speaker and the speaker moves, there is a slight shift in the object and subject of the sentence when it goes from direct to indirect and vice versa. Another attempt at direct indirect. Change the sentence from direct to indirect speech, where Jessica is saying, I am going to clean the room. Will this turn to Jessica might clean the room, or Jessica told me that she was going to clean the room, or Jessica said that the room was going to be cleaned, or is it none of the above? Which of these could it be? Please try and attempt an answer. Shaktija thinks that it is Jessica told me that she was going to clean the room. I have begun the timer. What do the rest of us think? Yes, come on, Karan, Dipali, Mehak. No, not 3. Option 2 is correct. Jessica told me that she was going to clean the room. Jessica said that the room was going to be cleaned. We are altering way too much in the question. We are changing the tense form as well, which we don't require to be doing. It's just the room was going to be cleaned. The room does not need to turn into the subject. Jessica told me that she was going to clean the room, suffices as turning it into indirect speech. Again, Lucy, the train didn't arrive on time. Again, we have to turn it into indirect speech. So, what could the indirect form of this be? Is this Lucy informed Jerry about the train being late? Or Lucy said to Jerry that the train had not arrived in time? Or Lucy told Jerry of the train's inability to arrive? Or is it none of these? You can take in a few attempts. Pritika thinks it's 2. Lucy said to Jerry that the train had not arrived in time. And that is the correct answer. So again, there's just a shift in emphasis in changing things from direct to indirect. You just change the person at the center stage of the sentence. Change the sentence again from direct to indirect speech. The sentence being, the film began at 7 o'clock, he said. That's the sentence. Now, what can the indirect form of this sentence be? He said that the film had begun at 7 o'clock. The film begins at 7 o'clock. Or it was stated by him that the film would begin at 7 o'clock. Or is it none of the above? Now, a common tendency here with these questions is that some of the options may try to do too much. And you don't really have to go for the options that do too much. There's just a slight change of emphasis from the subject and the object side, right? There's a shift in that manner. That's all that happens. So we think that option 1, he said that the film had begun at 7 o'clock, is correct. And that is right. Just a small shift. We don't need to go for the complicated shift that option number 4 or 3 provided. Again, now this is a exclamatory statement. Let's try and attempt to understand how this turns into an indirect speech. What a stupid fellow you are, he angrily remarked. What is the indirect form of this? Is it he was told that he was a stupid fellow? Is it he said to him that he was a stupid fellow? Or he told him that he was a very stupid fellow? Or he angrily exclaimed that I was a very stupid fellow? Karan thinks it's 4. Let's see, what do the rest of us think? Pritika thinks it's 3. He told him that he was a very stupid fellow. Aditya thinks it's 4. All right, I've begun the timer. And 4 is correct. Why? Because we are taking into account the exclamatory part of the situation. The exclamatory part was he angrily remarked. So we must reflect this while changing the object and while changing the narrator's place, while changing the other points of emphasis in the sentence. So he angrily exclaimed that I was a very stupid fellow. That is the correct answer. Here, the receiver of the question in anger in statements which express anger or pleasure or surprise or any such element, in many places the orator is over there because here it says he angrily remarked. So we already know who originated the sentence. But the recipient in many places, when you turn it into indirect speech, is assumed. So here the assumption is that he angrily exclaimed that I was a very stupid fellow, right? So that assumption can be made when we are changing indirect direct speeches in exclamatory statements. But the point here remains that we are taking into account the tone of the sentence and we are also using all the elements that existed. We are not omitting some of the elements or adding new elements of our own apart from the assumption of who the recipient is. So option 4 will be correct. He said that though he had come, sorry, that's his thought, it is supposed to be though. He said that though he had come, it was against his will. How does this turn into direct speech now? Now, this here is indirect in a very spread out manner. We just have to turn it into direct speech. You can also encounter questions that go from direct to indirect and indirect to direct. Now, this needs to go from indirect as it is to direct speech. Now, what is the direct form of it? Is it he said, apostrophe, I have come against my will, apostrophe. I have no will to be here, he said. He said, apostrophe. Even though I have come, it is said, it is against my will, or is it either 2 or 3? Karan and Shaktija think that it is, he said, even though I have come, it is against my will. They think it is the direct reflection, it is the direct speech form of this sentence. Let's see. And that is right. We simply are expressing that he said that even though I have come, it is against my will. Again, another example, the speaker said, here we have to turn it from indirect to direct speech. The speaker said it gave him a great pleasure to be there that evening. And the viable options, the possible options are, the speaker got great pleasure to be there. The speaker said, it gives me great pleasure to be here this evening. There is pleasure in being here today, said the speaker, or is it either 2 or 3? Again, we are going from indirect to direct speech. And Pritika thinks it's the speaker said, it gives me great pleasure to be here this evening. Because we are directly reporting what he said. Now, is this correct? Is 2 correct? Karan thinks there is pleasure in being here today, said the speaker. No. Again, Karan, with option 3, we are complicating things way beyond they need to be complicated, right? In direct speech, we just need to directly narrate what was said, which is exactly what we are doing in option number 2. Now we have fill in the blank type questions. We have to go through a list of possible options and find out the best possible match. The sentences, the end to the month was better, blank, the beginning anyway. Option 1, from, 2, against, 3, then, 4, than. Which of these is correct? The end to the month was better, blank, the beginning anyway. Okay, Pritika and Mahek and Aditya think it's than, THAN, than 4. Okay, I've started the timer. We have a overwhelming response for that, and that is correct. We have to remember THE and then means after in time, and than, THA and than means comparative. It compares two different situations. In this particular sentence, we were comparing the beginning and end of the month, hence the use of the word than. The singers are accompanied by a musical blank, ranging from a small instrumental device to a full symphonic orchestra. And the options are ensemble, back, device, or force. What could fit in here? Now, in order to experiment with this, we need to read it out loud. Sometimes you might try to go for option 1, fit it into the sentence. If it doesn't sound right, go to 2, go to 3. So Aditya thinks it is A. Karan thinks it's device. Okay. Mehak thinks it's device. Shaktija thinks it's 1. Pritika thinks it's 3. I'll begin the timer so that the rest of us are prompted to attempt an answer. The correct answer is ensemble. Why is ensemble correct and not a device? Because ensemble refers to a collection of things, right? So the singers are accompanied by a musical ensemble ranging from a small instrumental device to a full symphonic orchestra. By using the word ensemble, we are signifying that they have a variety of things to choose from. Bear in mind, see, we are using ranging from a. Ranging from a means we are showing a variety of something. We cannot show a variety of just one device, right? So a musical ensemble means a collection of many musical things, which is why option 1 is correct. All right, guys, Pritika and Mehek and Karan, I hope that made things clearer. So ensemble fits in here, and by ensemble we mean a variety of things, a collection of things. Some scientists have suggested that dolphins have a language, but it is much more blank that they communicate with each other without needing words. Is it ingenious? Is it probable? Can it be both 1 and 2? Or is it neither 1 nor 2? So by reading the sentence, we just have to take in the general tone of the sentence, the general, we have to understand what perspective the sentence is made in. Okay, I think it's ingenious. Okay. All right. While I see why you could mean ingenious, I think it's probable. Because we are not really, look at the tone of the sentence, we are not really praising the capability of the dolphins here. The scientists have studied them. The scientists think that they have a language of their own, but it is much more what we are talking about scientific theory, testing, and all of that. This is why we need to undertake and understand the tone, the currents of the present sentence. Here it is about scientists studying something, and we have to think along those lines, the probability, the possibility. So I think probability can be the best possible option here. But I can also see why some of you would go for both 1 and 2. It's ingenious because it's kind of mind blowing that they do it. But then again, that they communicate with each other without needing words. It's not that ingenious. Most living organisms do that. So we have to see whether certain words fit in or not. On a first glance, you might feel like, oh, this is the best fit. But again, try to read the sentence a bit more so that you can get the exact feel of what the sentence is going for. Here we are seeing that scientists are studying it. It's a bit hard to get a grasp on, but try to read the sentence once or twice so that you really understand what the tone is. And again, the options given will be quite confusing. The best thing you can do is improve your reading comprehension. You'll see that in most of these, I've kept the options quite close to each other so that they can confuse you and you can work on the concepts. Now, there were many speculations on why the ship blank. Is it sink? Is it sinked? Is it sank? Or is it sanked? Which is the correct usage, which is the correct verb form of sink that we will use in this sentence. There were many speculations on why the ship blank. Meda thinks it's just sank. What about the rest of us? Mehek also thinks it's 3. Pratibha also thinks it's 3. Pratibha, I don't think you were there in the last quiz I took. That is correct. Sank is the V3 form of sink. Of those who managed to blank overboard, only 139 survived in the fatal accident. So, of those who managed to scramble, of those who managed to fly, of those who managed to compose, or of those who managed to abandon, what can be the perfect fit for the blank here? Lakshita thinks it is scramble of those who managed to scramble overboard. Only 139 survived in the fatal accident. So the rest of us as well. Karan thinks it's fly overboard. Adidev also thinks it is scramble. Pritika thinks it is fly. So, guys, Karan and Pritika, let's put into perspective fly of those who manage to fly overboard. Overboard is generally used in a sinking accident, right? For flights, we use onboard. Okay, overboard we use for ocean, seas, nautical things, which relate to water and the act of sailing, etc. So the correct answer is scramble overboard. Why? Scramble means to grasp at straws, right? To I'll show you. So scramble is the correct answer. So scramble overboard, by the expression scramble overboard, we mean they managed to do it somehow. Really, they were struggling. They scrambled overboard. Imagine a circumstance of a large travesty. For example, the war going on right now. People are scrambling for survival. People are scrambling to run away from the war torn area, right? Similarly, in the situation of those who managed to scramble overboard, that means the ship was sinking and they were fighting tooth and nail to get overboard. To get overboard where? On the ship. Only 139 in the fatal accident survived. So, is it clear why we use the word scramble and not fly? Flying is for on board usually. Overboard means in water bodies. Next, many believe that the art of the world may disappear into private hands, but its transfer will blank once static fortunes move into the hands of investors and collectors. Again, once we go from fill in the blanks or whatever it is that you will come across in English, don't try to have a single train of thought. Just clear your mind every time you move on to the next sentence. So, you see, we were just thinking about sinking ships and survivors and whatnot, but now let's clear our minds and open our minds to the possibility of this sentence and what its meaning could be. Now, many believe that the art of the world may disappear into private hands. This tells us that we are thinking about art. We are thinking now about the future of art. Many believe that the art of the world may disappear into. We have answers already. Excellent. But its transfer, the transfer of what? The transfer of art will do what? Will blank once static fortunes move into the hands of investors and collectors. Now, is it possible that the answer is heal? Can the transfer heal? Can the transfer modify? Can the transfer disseminate? Or can the transfer die? Now, most of us think here disseminate is the correct answer. Karan and Shaktija and Pratibha, what do you think? Yes, disseminate is indeed the correct answer. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has blank legal action. Has it forced? Has it required? Has it threatened? Or has it caused? What can be the correct option here? What is a common phrase used before legal action? Do you force legal action, require, threaten, cause? Mehek is answering with threat, required. Karan with threatened. Medha with required. And only Karan is right because you threaten legal action. No other, they were not caused. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has dash legal action. This is a compact, single statement. So it carries a lot of weight. It's said in the context of just a single statement. You threaten legal action in response to something, in an attempt to instill a fear in the other party. So the correct answer, the correct usage is threatened legal action. Okay, caused legal action, it's very improbable that we will use that in isolation in this sentence. So we generally say they are threatening legal action, right? The opposite party is threatening legal action. So the common phrase used here is threatening legal action. It would take a book to blank all the races and awards he has won and the mountains he has climbed. Tackle, list, read, or picture. What could be used here? It would take a book to Medha thinks it's list. Karan also. Okay, Pritika thinks it is tackle. So Pritika, again, let's try to fit the and Pratibha as well. Let's try to just Pritika, right? Let's try to fit the word tackle here. It would take a book to tackle all the races and awards. So we don't need to tackle the races and awards. We're talking about a book and we're talking about races and awards. He has won mountains, he has climbed, and whatsoever. So, again, the general tone here is of appreciation towards that person, to give recognition to the subject. And thus, we are trying to say that it would take a book to list and write down and acknowledge everything that this person has done. Again, very important to read. And if you don't understand it at a first glance, take a few more seconds and read it again. You can just let me know in the comments. We can stop at the slide. You can read it again. The thin air at high altitudes makes most people breathless at 3,500 meters, and the vast majority of climbers use oxygen blank 7,000 meters. Use oxygen at, use oxygen past, use oxygen per, or use oxygen none of the above. Again, read it very well, understand what the implication of each of these possible options will be. What will be the best fit? You'll only understand it once you understand the general idea of the sentence. Medha thinks it is past, Karan thinks it's at. Pratibha thinks it's past. Shaktija thinks it's at. Okay, we have people torn between at and past. Interesting usage of words here. Let's see. What are we reading? We are reading that the thin air at a high altitude makes most people breathless at 3,500 meters. So most people are getting breathless at 3,500 meters, and the vast majority of climbers use oxygen at 7,000 meters. At could be a possible option, but past 7,000 meters is the correct answer. Why? We are trying to pack in a situation of the breathlessness and the general fitness level of most climbers and the general level of adaptation of most climbers. So we will use the word pass. So while most people get breathless at half the amount of altitude, 35,000 meters, they get breathless, they start to get breathless. But after 7,000, it signifies that after 7,000, it becomes impossible to just survive. So the majority of people are using 7,000 are using oxygen after covering 7,000 meters of altitude. That is why we're using the word pass, because altitude, these are climbers, they're climbing up, so they have to go even further up after 7,000 meters. So they will not just use the oxygen at 7,000 meters and stop using it, they will use it continuously after that. Hence, we use the word pass. That means after 7,000 meters, they will continue to use oxygen. So now do you understand why each possible option carries a lot of significance and what it means if we use it? This is why we must pay attention to the tone and to the options are not just mere options. Each option will create a different reality. So you have to understand from reading the sentence that this is about climbers, this is about fitness levels, this is about survival, right? So try to catch those undercurrents of the sentence. Next question. Although national cultures could play a part in shaping the way we behave and think, we are also largely influenced blank, the region we come from, and the communities we associate blank. So we are largely influenced in the region we come from and the communities we associate from, or is it we are largely influenced of the region we come from and the communities we associate with, or is it we are largely influenced by the region we come from and the communities we associate with, or we are largely influenced through the region we come from and the communities we associate in? And we have options coming in for 3, by, and with. Let's see if that is correct. And that is correct, because you get influenced by something, not in something or of something or with something, and you associate with something. For example, I associate with this school of thought. I am influenced by this school of thought. The blank difference in their opinions has blank a never ending debate. The shallow difference in their opinions has made a never ending debate. The stale difference in their opinions has organized a never ending debate. The main difference in their opinions has funneled a never ending debate. Or the stark difference in their opinions has sparked a never ending debate. What is the most appropriate option that could fill in the blanks? Karan thinks it's 4. So he thinks there is a stark difference in the opinions that has sparked, that is ignited or started a never ending debate. All right, most of us think same. So we don't think it's stale, we don't think it's shallow, we don't think it's main. That is correct. Why? Because the difference in order to create a debate must be huge, it must be gigantic. So the use of the word stark is appropriate, right? And sparked also signifies a lot of passion in the agreement, so we use that word here. The best thing to do is to listen and observe how your conversation partner addresses you and prefers to be blank, prefers to be named, prefers to be personified, prefers to be read, or prefers to be addressed. Again, I hope we are succeeding in wiping the brain clean of the previous question. Don't dwell too much on the content of the previous question. Read the next question with a clean and fair mind. Okay, we think it's addressed, so we must know and pay attention to how the other person wants to be addressed. Very good. Addressed is correct. We were talking about skills of conversation here, as is clear from the sentence. The best thing to do is to listen and observe how your conversation partner addresses you and prefers to be addressed. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking that because the earlier portion said address, so the end should be addressed as well. You must also independently think of what can fit in best. Here, it happened to be the word addressed, but don't make the mistake of linking these things. Sometimes the options might confuse you in this way. There could be a better option over there. When things that we are used to are done blank, it could spark the strongest reactions in us. When things that we are used to are done again, when things we are used to are done quietly, and things that we are used to are done differently, or is it none of the above? Now, in which of these ways can the things be done so that they spark a very strong reaction in us? Okay, people think differently. Again, well done. That is the correct answer. You have succeeded to understand what the sentence is trying to communicate. Next question. The professor was glad to inform us that the school had dash down its erstwhile stringent leave policy. The school had healed down, pickled apart, mellowed down, or trained down. Which of the following can be correct? It's erstwhile stringent leave policy. Meda thinks it's 3. Yes, it is 3. So you have to pay attention to what the entire sentence is saying. It's erstwhile means it used to be. Stringent means very strict. So mellowing down means to make it a little more viable, a little more workable, to bring the strictness factor down significantly. So mellowed down is the correct usage here. Research suggests that by focusing on the process of how things are done, we can encourage the development of new skills and the continued dash of talents. So the continued what? Virtuing, honing, realization, or callousing. Research suggests that by focusing on the process of how things are done, we can encourage the development of new skills and the continued. Meda thinks it's honing. Lakshita also thinks it's honing. I'm starting the timer. What do the rest of us think? Honing. That is correct. Honing means to acquire and to perfect something, right? So honing is the correct word here. Adapting a cynical approach towards life might dash your sufferings, diminish, perpetuate, appraise, or heal. So we're talking about adapting a cynical approach. A cynical approach is a very pessimistic, a very negative, a very doubtful approach, right? A cynic where you keep doubting. So what will that do to sufferings? All right, Karan thinks it will perpetuate. Good job, Karan. What about the rest of us? Medha also thinks perpetuate. Pritik also thinks perpetuate, and that is correct. Perpetuate means to prolong. You know, make it stay there forever. So if you keep on thinking negatively, your sufferings will become bigger than they actually are. You will perpetuate your suffering, you'll give them more time in your head. By practicing gratitude, you too can blank clear of negativity in life. You too can feel clear. You too can steer clear. You too can stir clear. Or you too can steer with an ER, steer clear of negativity in life. Which of these is the appropriate option to be used? Meda thinks it's STIR, stir. Um, Karan thinks it's STEAR, steer. I've begun the timer now. Shaktija thinks it's STEER, steer. Pritika thinks it's STEAR. And only Shaktija and Lakshita are correct. So, Karan, steer, try to make use of the word steering wheel here. For the steering wheel, we use STEER. Steer clear means to stay clear. In the same sense, we have a steering wheel in a car. So STEAR is not the correct answer. STIR, stir, means to stir a drink. STEER is the correct spelling and is the word that we are looking for. Okay, guys? So steer clear. Steer clear of troubles in your life. Steer clear of negativity in your life. STEER is the word used when you are referring to navigating away from something. Next, it might take time to dash the effects of the cyclone, but the local community is strong and determined. It might take time to bear the effects. It might take time to force the effects. It might take time to administer the effects. It might take time to counter the effects. Which of the following? Bear and force. Oh, Karan is asking a question. Stare, STEAR, stare is not a verb really. It may be an adjective relating to something else, I'm suspect, but it's not to do with, it's not the correct usage we are looking for. Stare might be related to, I'm thinking stearic acid or something along those lines, but it's not what we were looking for. You steer clear of trouble with STEER. That's the correct spelling. Okay, for this question, counter, it might take time to counter. Lakshita thinks it's administer the effects. Pritika thinks it is bear the effects. So the best thing to use here is counter. It might take time to counter the effects of the cyclone. What are we expressing? We are expressing that the local community is strong and determined. So if you're bearing the effects of the cyclone, you're already bearing it. It's saying that it might take time to. So we are talking about some kind of determination, some kind of tenacity, some kind of fight that you're putting up. So you will counter, you will fight back against the effects of the cyclone. For example, if some damage has happened, right? If something catastrophic has happened, schools have flown away, furniture has flown away, the community will counter the effects of the cyclone by rebuilding all of this, right? By upbringing the morale in the society and so on and so forth. So you counter the effects of the cyclone. That is the general tone we were going for in this sentence. If the modern day catastrophes continue, we are in danger of causing blank damage to important institutions like democracy and world cooperation. Fickle damage, big damage, irreparable damage, or bright damage. What is the best fit in this sentence? Meda thinks it's irreparable damage, judging by the gravity of the words we are using. Irreparable is correct. See, it could also be big damage. We might also be in danger of causing big damage, but that doesn't quite deliver the message we are trying to deliver here. We are talking about these ginormous institutions being threatened, institutions of democracy, world cooperation, peace, so on and so forth. So irreparable damage, that is the message we are conveying. This is what we must understand in reading comprehension. The second run of trials, again, let's wipe our brain clean of the previous question. We have a fresh mind. Let's read it. The second run of trials with the same equipments made the first round of experimentation relapse, meaningful, redundant, or pragmatic. Come on, I'm waiting for answers. Let's try and attempt some answers. The second run of trials with the same equipments made the first round of experimentation. Atidevya thinks redundant. Pratika also thinks redundant. Shakti also thinks redundant. Meaningful, Karan. Okay, I'll tell you why it is not meaningful and why redundant is correct. Pay attention to how we are using the words the second run of trials with the same equipment. So if you're doing the second run of trials with the same equipments, it means you're kind of repeating what you already did. And doing that is called a redundancy. For example, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting new results, it is redundant for you to do that. So that will make it redundant. It would be meaningful if you tried to create something new, if you tried to give added emphasis and proof for the previous thing. It would be meaningful if the second run was even more refined procedure, but it is not. You're doing it with the same equipments, you're doing the very same thing again. That is making it redundant. You're just repeating what you already did. The death of a mother seems to have left a blank emotional wound behind in her life. A hollow, a gaping, a heroic, or morbid. Which of these could it be? Yes, guys, I'm waiting for response. Meda thinks a gaping emotional wound, okay. Shaktija thinks hollow emotional wound. Okay, Mehek also thinks hollow. So, guys, all right, gaping is correct here. Why? We use the word gaping means open and wide. So, a gaping emotional wound behind in a life. Here, we are trying to signify the amount of pain. Hollow wound, a wound will always be hollow, right? Not really signifying a lot of pain. But gaping signifies a lot of pain. It carries the meaning very well here. So, gaping is the appropriate option. Heroic, we don't really want to show that she's a hero. We are just signifying that she's suffering from pain because of the sorry event that happened. Morbid means relating with death. Again, options are there to confuse you, but you must try to grasp the meaning of the sentence and what it is trying to convey. We are trying to convey a sorry state, a pitiful state, a very painful state of the person, and gaping fits in well. So, a gaping wound. The success of the handicraft industry certainly blank everyone by surprise this year. Made everyone by surprise, had everyone by surprise, took everyone by surprise, or covered everyone by surprise. Meda thinks took everyone by surprise. Karan also thinks took everyone by surprise. I'm starting the timer. And took everyone by surprise is the correct word used. It took me by surprise, as we say. The tutoring agency was offering a customized plan for those students who were starting from first, who were starting from back, who were starting from the beginning, or who were starting from scratch. Meda thinks who were starting from scratch. Mehek also. Well done. I'm starting the timer. What do the rest of us think? Lakshita, you're not answering for all questions. Why not? Scratch is correct. Starting from scratch means to start from square one, start from nothing. The beginning could also fit in, but a more appropriate answer was scratch, starting from scratch. So now we have spelling things, and Shaktija, please pay attention. This is especially if you want to improve your weak area. There are 4 various spellings, and you have to pick out the correct one. So I won't speak so that you won't get disturbed. Pay attention and write in the comments which of these you think is correct. So the word is instantaneous. Meda thinks it's 1, instantaneous being the correct spelling. Shaktija, pay attention. Okay, Lakshita, in this case, I'm very glad that you found time to join. Excellent. Karan thinks it's 4, instantaneous. instantaneous. Karan, try to spell out instantaneous, or try to read it exactly as it appears in option number 4. And then try to read out option number 1. So which one do you think is correct? Yes, Karan? Yeah, instantaneous. See, Karan, if we read out 4, it says instantaneous. We are looking for instantaneous, right? So option number 1 is correct and not 4. I'll move on to the next one. That is exactly like this. Let's pay attention to this one. The word is colossal. Colossal. Which of these is correct? Pritika thinks it's 2, single L, double S. Divya thinks it's double L, double S, colossal. Karan thinks it's double L, single S. Shaktish also thinks it's 2, and 2 is correct. Colossal is spelled with a single L, only 2 S's, right? COLOSSAL, colossal damage, as we use it. So Shaktija, Pratibha, Lakshita, Atidivya, Pritika, and Mehak, and Lakshita. Yeah, all right. Okay, now we will be answering a few questions on homophones. Homophones are words. Just to give you a hint, homophones are words which might be spelled differently, but they sound the same. Which of these is a homophone? Which of these is a pair of homophones? Shaktija and Pratibha. Oh, this is the answer from the previous one. Pritika thinks it is rain and rain, R-E-I-G-H in rain, and R-A-I in rain. Meda thinks it's 1, R-E-I-G-N, rain, and R-E-E-N, rain. Meda, are you sure that R-E-E-N, rain is a word? That is also something we need to pay attention to. Words. R-E-E-N, rain is not a word. So the correct option is 2. Rain referring to the time that someone ruled, and rain referring to the natural phenomenon of raining. So rain and rain, option 2, are correct. They are homophones. They sound the same, mean something entirely different. R-E-E-N is no word. Now, synonyms. Which of the following are synonyms? Objectify and rectify, rectify and correct, desert and reject, or both 1 and 2. Synonyms are words that are different but they signify the same meaning. So which of these could be synonyms? All right, rectify and correct, rectify and correct, that is right. Rectify and correct. Now you have to find of these the word that is similar in meaning to the word popular. Hefty, admired, favored, or is it both 2 and 3? What is similar to the word popular? Not synonym, we're not asking you for synonyms. Similar in meaning, has the same attributes as the word popular. Pritika thinks admired. Meda thinks it's both admired and favored. Pratibha also thinks it's both admired and favored, and Meda and Pratibha are correct. Admired and favored carry the same meaning and same attributes as popular. Shaktija is also correct. Favored is also someone who is popular. If someone is popular, they are favored over people. If you have a popular guest, you will favor them over other people. So it carries the same attributes. Fill in the blank here. Again, let's try to grasp what the statement is trying to reflect. The budding artist won the competition. It is only blank. Fair is the word we are looking for, but which of the following is the correct spelling for this exact moment? What will fit in here? F-E-A-R, fair, F-A-R-E, fair, F-A-I-R, fair, or F-A-I-R-E, fair? Pritika thinks 3. Shaktija, think again. F-A-I-R-E, fair. F-A-I-R, fair is the correct spelling, not F-A-I-R-E, fair. When you reach your block, you must look around for blank animals. So the word we're looking for is stray. What is the correct spelling of the word stray, as in stray animals? Okay, three stray and we are correct. Shaktija, please take a bit of time to go through the options and let me know. Okay, Karan. Yes, yes, Shaktija, just try. That's why I'm telling you to take a bit of time. It's okay if you want me to stay on a particular slide. What do you think is the correct answer? See, Karan just got confused between stay and stray because possibly he was reading way too fast, right? Maybe he was reading way too fast and he didn't say that two, he didn't see that two only had what? Stay in there. Shaktij also made the same mistake. Stray. Two didn't have an R in there. All right. Moving on to the next one. What word is closest in meaning to the word ineptitude? An ineptitude. You have an ineptitude towards something, as I said. Does it mean indifference towards something? Does it mean an inability of something? Does it mean someone being nimble, that is weak? Or does it mean someone being acute? Okay, we think it's inability. Shaktija, what do you think? Shaktija, I'm still waiting on your response. Try to answer. Ineptitude. Indifference. Okay, see, Shaktija, ineptitude is used in the form of capacity. If someone has the capacity to do something, right? So they say you are inept to do it. That means they're saying that you're not capable of doing. You don't have the ability to do it. So option number two is correct. We're using the word ineptitude. That means inability. Okay. So aptitude, ineptitude are used in the context of showing if someone has the capacity or the capability to do something. So inability will be the correct answer here. Again, closest in meaning to pawn. Shaktija, would you like to answer? Does a pawn mean borrow, ordinary, hostage, or dactyl? Come on, guys, let's have some answers in. Shaktija thinks it's one, borrow. Meg thinks it's three. For dactyl. The correct answer is hostage. The correct answer is hostage because, see, Shaktija, you played chess, right? So in chess, the pawns up front are, they are dispensable. You can do away with them. So if you become a pawn in someone's game or if you become a pawn somewhere means you become a hostage. You fall for some game, you fall for some plan, and you're at the mercy of the other person. So hostage is the correct answer. The option borrow was added in there to confuse you. If you pawn something means pawner and pawnee, as we study in contract law, you don't borrow it. You don't borrow it exactly. You give it away. You pawn it. The other person borrows it, but you yourself don't borrow it. You give it away against something. So you're not really, you're falling for this trick. The correct answer here is hostage and not borrow. You kind of leasing something out. You're not borrowing it. Think again of the concept of pawning something away. The word closest in meaning to obfuscate. It's okay, Shakti. If you, I would rather prefer you get every single answer wrong here because that will make sure you learn what is right, and it's okay. Don't at all worry about getting anything wrong here. So come on, Shaktija, let's try to answer this one then. What could be closest in meaning to obfuscate? Is it complicate, implicate, renege, or outdated? obfuscating something. Karan thinks it's referring to complicating something. Aditya also thinks complicating. Pratibha also thinks it's complicating something. And we are correct. Obfuscating, for example, you obfuscate a concept. Sorry, you obfuscate a concept, you complicate it way beyond where it needs to be. Again, closest in meaning to the word travesty. Shaktija, very good, you answered the previous one correctly. So, Shaktija, Karan, try to attempt this one. Travesty. Which one of these could it be? Of an event bad in nature, humorous, crisscross, or reality. Okay, both of us think it's one. Pritika thinks it's four. Pritika, travesty refers to a very bad situation. A travesty is a tragedy of a very big order. So, no, it's not reality. It is a very bad event. Okay, so option one is correct. Again, which of the following is closest to the word sunniest? Okay, sunniest. That means we are comparing it with something, right? So, sunniest, does it mean prosperous? Does it mean well looked after? Does it mean cheerful? Or does it mean light? It means cheerful. Meda is correct. Sunniest, we are comparing it with something, so it's very cheerful. Again, see, Karan, we were comparing it with something, right? So sunny refers to a good mood, right? So sunniest means very cheerful. In the following question, out of the four alternatives, you have to choose the best expression of the word proscribe. Trifecta, no, trifecta does not mean the same as travesty. Shaktija. So, what could, let's pay attention to this. What could be the correct expression of the word proscribe? Two of four, forbid or outlaw, proscribe, okay. Pritika thinks it's allow. Okay. Shaktija thinks it's outlaw. Proscribe. Proscribe is forbidding something. Think about permitting something and proscribing something. Prescribing means to tell you to do something, and proscribing means you stop something from occurring. You forbid it. So proscribe, the closest to it is forbid. And Shaktija, the way you can, the closest thing I can explain a trifecta to you with is, you know how we use the expression एक तीर से दो शिकार, think of एक तीर से तीन शिकार. That can be a trifecta. So a situation where you achieve three things, right? So trifecta is that thing, an achieving of three different things, try, and a travesty is a bad situation. So for proscribe, the closest is to forbid something. Okay, now the closest meaning to the word hearse. Hearse, it's pronounced hearse. And does it refer to a coffin, a funeral, a celebration, or a vehicle that is used for carrying a coffin? Lakshita thinks it's a vehicle that is used for carrying a coffin, and that is correct. So, do you see the giant limousine looking vehicles? They are called a hearse. Or a proper hearse is the vehicle that is driven by a horse, but it has a big um, caravan behind it. That is called a hearse. I'm sure you must have seen it in, let's say, some Christian series, Christian predominant TV series or movies. They have a horse driven vehicle that is called a hearse, or in modern days, they have a giant vehicle which carries the coffin. That's a hearse, H E R S E. Choose the word closest in meaning to conundrum, which expresses the meaning of this best. What is a conundrum? Is it a difficult problem? Does it refer to a crowd? Does it refer to a miniature, a small miniature of something? Or is it referring to something that is marvelous? Karan thinks conundrum is a difficult problem. What do the rest of us think? Conundrum, a difficult problem. Shaktija, conundrum. Conundrum is a difficult problem. So you're in a conundrum when you don't know what to choose. It's a very difficult problem, right? In the following question, out of the 4 alternatives, again, you have to choose the closest in meaning, what is best expressing what we are referring to. So egalitarian. Does egalitarian refer to the belief that all people are bad? Does it refer to the belief that all people are lunatics? Does it refer to the belief that all people are equal, or that all people are immortal? Immortal means they don't die ever. Meda thinks it's 4. Meda, think again. Egalitarian. Yes, 3. Egalitarian. The belief that everyone is deserving of equality. The issue of somnambulism is falling asleep. Is it the issue of sleepwalking? Does it refer to emigration, or is it none of the above? Somnambulism, sleepwalking. Meda thinks, Shaktij also thinks that, and that is correct. Somnambulism refers to the issue of walking while you are asleep and unaware that you are walking. Wick away, right? What is the meaning of the expression wick away? Does it refer to water? Does it refer to the flame of a candle? Does it refer to human health, or does it refer to becoming weak? Wick away. Come on, guys, let's try and answer it. Meda thinks it's referring to becoming weak. Mehak thinks it refers to the flame of a candle. Pritika thinks it's flame of a candle. Atidevya thinks it's C. C. It refers to becoming weak. Wick refers to not even the flame. Now, this is succeeding in confusing you. A wick is the thread that that is flammable, that you light on fire. That is the wick, not the flame. The flame is the flame. That thing is the wick. But we're not talking about just the wick. We are using the expression wick away. Wick away means weaken, die off, and weaken. So become weak is the closest an expression to wick away. Again, read it very well, right? The flame of a candle anyway is not the wick. The wick is the thread extending from the candle that you light on fire. The correct expression, wick away, refers to becoming weak or dying off. So his health wicked away. The plants wicked away when it was autumn. In which of the following questions, in the following question, out of the 4 alternatives, again you have to choose the thing expressing best. The word here is fret. Does fret refer to failure? Does it refer to success, anxiousness, or does it refer to crying? Fret. So try to use the word fret in a sentence in your mind. So Karan did that, and Karan thinks anxious is the correct answer. All right, we are all correct. Fret. We say don't fret, don't worry, don't be anxious, right? Crying is not, fret does not go to the height of emotion where we cry. Fret is just an emotion of worrying or doubting yourself or becoming anxious. So anxious is the correct answer here, which is why we use the phrase don't fret, right? Don't worry. Again, convoluted. What could be the meaning of convoluted? Is convoluted something that is difficult to follow? Is convoluted something that is difficult to digest as a piece of information? Is it something that is difficult to see, or is it either 2 or 3? Convoluted. So try to put it in a sentence. Lakshita thinks it's convoluted is difficult to follow. Karan thinks it can be difficult to digest or difficult to see. Aditya thinks it's difficult to digest. Shaktija, what do you think? Convoluted is complicated. It is difficult to follow. That is right. A convoluted message, something that is so messed up and scrambled, you cannot follow it. You cannot understand it. So it's not difficult to digest or difficult to see. It's just simply difficult to follow. Incipient. What is the meaning of incipient? Does it refer to something that is old? Does it refer to something that has just begun its development? Does it refer to the practice of going out or something? Or is it none of the above? I think Pratibha is answering old for incipient. What about the rest of us here? Shaktija thinks it's something that is beginning to develop. Mehek also, excellent job, Shaktija. Mehek. Incipient means something that is just in its initial stages, that is beginning to develop, right? Incipient. So, an incipient friendship or an incipient partnership, something that is on the horizon, that is just beginning. Tacit. Tacit. Is it implied? Is it unknown? Is it big? Or is it none of the above? Try to put it in a, you know, tacit. Yes. When I think of tacit, I think tacit conditions, terms and conditions, tacit conditions. Correct answer is implied. Tangible. Does tangible? Yes, implied, mutual. Tangible refer to something that is perceptible by vision, perceptible by touch, perceptible by smell, or is it none of the above? Yes, we should have these under the belt. We study all of this in contract already. No, Shaktija, tangible refers to perceptible by touch, basically, not just vision. Perceptible by touch is the most appropriate way we can express it. Okay, now moving on to a few idioms or phrases. What does throwing down the glove mean? Does it mean to accept something immediately? Does it mean giving another person a challenge? Does it mean becoming hopeless? Or does it refer to being in a dilemma? Karan thinks it's referring to becoming hopeless. You throw down the glove. And it is a trick phrase. It actually refers to giving the other person a challenge. Lakshita, you are correct. Throw down the glove means to one up the other person, give the other person a bigger challenge. Throw down the glove does not mean to, throw down your arms. That's throwing down your arms or giving up. Throw down the glove means to give another person a bigger challenge. So remember this idiom, remember this phrase. Another phrase in doldrums. In doldrums, what does it refer to when you say someone is in doldrums? Does it mean that they are jubilant, they are very happy? Does it mean they are angry or depressed or hopeful? What is this reflective of? Depressed, Medha thinks. That is correct. In doldrums refers to in a state of misery, very depressed. Okay, which of the following refers to a temporary prohibition of an activity? So, if you're temporarily, let's think of a temporary injunction in our legal minds and our lawyer brains. What is it? Is it a slumber? Is it a moratorium? Is it prescient? Or is it a scrawl? A temporary prohibition, a temporary stoppage of an activity. It is indeed a moratorium, like we place moratoriums in law. Okay, now we are referring to an act here. Let's read it carefully. So, which of these refers to a speech in a play that the character speaks to himself or herself or to the people watching rather than to the other characters? Now, embody an actor. We are a character in a play, right? So it is a speech. You're saying something, but you're saying it to yourself or to the people who are watching you as an audience and not to the other characters who are around you. Which of the following refers to it? Is it a monologue? Is it called a soliloquy? Is it a plague or a colloquy? I sense some confusion here, monologue and soliloquy. So the correct answer is a soliloquy. A soliloquy is kind of, do you know about the concept of breaking the third wall? Breaking the third wall means talking to the audience, right? Or with breaking the third wall is significant, a bit different from it, but we can understand it in those terms. So soliloquy refers to, when a character thinks aloud in a TV show, or in a speech, a play, wherever, where they think aloud, loud to show you their thoughts. That is a soliloquy. A monologue is something that is said to someone in front of you, and only one person is speaking, expressing their thoughts. A monologue is not necessarily for the people watching you or whatever. A monologue is just that the person is delivering without worrying about who's listening to it. It's just that one person is saying and everyone else is listening. But the question is asking you, here the person is speaking to the people watching him, not the other characters. So that is an important distinction. And that exact thing where a character in a play, in a TV series, whatever, is thinking out loud is called a soliloquy. What does equestrian refer to? Does it relate to birds, tourism, horses, or water sports? Equestrian. Horses. You're correct, Meda. It does relate to horses. Equestrian. An equestrian is a person who takes care of horses, rides horses. The sport itself is called equestrian. Now, what is most nearly opposite in meaning? Very careful to read what the question is asking for. Don't pick an option that is close in meaning. We have to find something that is opposite in meaning to mutability. Mutability. Is it calculable? Is it movable? Is it tenacity? Or is it fragility? Mutability. Think of the aspects that mutability might be. What do you think of when you think mutability? The ability to mute someone, the ability to keep someone quiet. And Karan thinks it's movability. Pritika thinks it is fragility. What about the rest of us? Mutability means that someone is very. Shaktija thinks it's calculable. Okay, Aditya thinks it's fragility. Oh God, only Mehek has answered this correctly. Mutability means someone is very, uh, you can dominate the person very easily. You can mute them, you can hush them and shush them very easily, right? So you can predict what they're doing. So they're not, we are looking for the opposite in meaning. They're not, they are already calculable. That is not the opposite of a mutable person. A mutable person is someone who is very, easy to dominate, very fragile already, right? So they're very fragile. You can just do whatever. They won't resist a lot. So calculable cannot be the correct answer. Again, movable cannot be the correct answer. This person is already very easy to do whatever with. Tenacity shows resistance. So someone who is tenacious is someone who puts up a fight. So the opposite in meaning to a mutable person is someone who has tenacity. So mutability is quite opposite to the aspect of tenacity. Yes, so mutable can be one who can change easily, someone who is very impressionable, someone you can, influence very easily, right? So tenacity is someone who is firm, whose mind you cannot change, someone who will put up a fight, who's very strong. What is opposite nearly in meaning to the term archaic? Is it novel, somber, soft, or an archaeological finding? Archaic. Mera thinks novel. Archaic. Shaktija thinks an archaeological finding. Shaktija, we are looking for what is opposite in meaning. Aditya thinks archaeological. Guys, we are looking for opposite in meaning. Archaic is something that is very old. So an archaeological finding would make sense. Novel, a novel idea means something that is very new. Yes, Shaktaja, novel is correct. Something that is new and fresh. Archaic is something that is old. Perennial, what could be the opposite of perennial? Frequent, regular, lasting, or rare? Think in a lot of terms, perennial. What do you think of? The first thing I think of when I think perennial is perennial waters. What does perennial waters mean? Medha, we are looking for the opposite in meaning. Perennial waters means waters that are there all the time. So, would lasting be the opposite meaning? No, lasting is the same as that. The correct answer, yes, it is rare. So, something that is always there, the opposite to it is something that is either never there, we don't have that option here. Rare means something that is very rarely there. So, rare is the correct answer here. Okay, now we have to find the opposite meaning to the word that is highlighted here. Again, we have to pay attention to the how the word is used. Earlier, we just got the words. Now we have the gift of having the word in a sentence, so we can understand it better. The Prime Minister's radio broadcast galvanized the people's spirit. Is the opposite distracted, frightened, distracted, or dampened? Galvanized the people's spirit. What is the opposite? Again, you have to find the opposite. Medha thinks it's dampened. So by galvanized here, we mean strengthened it further, made it stronger, you know? So of course the correct option here, if you're looking for the opposite, is dampened. Dampened means to make something weaker and more fragile. Now it is a fill in the blank type question. Let's read it carefully. I'll stay on the slide a bit longer. Officials and people's representatives failing in their duty to ensure proper blank of safety norms and those blank in flouting these norms must be punished. Is it implementation and complicit? Is it accuracy and symmetric? Is it enforcement and implicit? Is it execution and explicit? Okay, we have Karan answering 3, Pritika answering 3, Meg answering 1, Mehek answering 4. Mehek, try to fit the words execution and explicit in there. Shaktija as well, try to force the words over there. Do they fit in? Do the words fit in? And the correct answer is, of course, 1. So, what we are looking for here is officials and people's representatives failing in their duty to ensure proper implementation of the safety norms. So, we implement safety norms, or you can even enforce them, right? But, and those complicit in flouting these norms. Flouting means disobeying, blatantly, openly disobeying them. These norms must be punished. You don't say the word implicit, you say complicit, who is sharing the blame over there, right? So the most appropriate one is option number 1. Execution, you cannot execute safety norms. Explicit is not really fitting in there. The correct answer is 1, implementation and complicit. All those extra hours that the MPs are breaking up, shoring up, eyeing up, putting up in the down house, in the hut house, in the lane house, in the house discussing demands for grants of ministries, though, is not going too well with the support staff and security officials. I sense that there is some mistake. Please don't mind the second gap. Let's just answer the first fill in the blank. So, all those extra hours that the MPs are dash up, and we have answers for putting up. Yes. So you put up extra hours. That means you clock in extra hours. You clock in extra hours at work. So all those extra hours that the MPs are putting up. Rightly, the government has acknowledged that the current rental laws are archaic as they do not address the relationship between the lesser and the landlord realistically and fairly, the lessee and the tenant realistically and fairly, the lesser and the lessee realistically and fairly, the lesser and the lesser realistically and fairly. So, what do we think the answer is here? We must know this. This is not an English test just for us, this is also a contract test for us. That is correct, lesser and the lessee. The traditional practices of yoga lay great emphasis on the importance of breathing in the form of pranayama, lay great stress on the importance of exercise in the form of pranayama, lay great faith on the importance of controlling in the form of pranayama, or lay great motion in the importance of body in the form of pranayama. And emphasis and breathing are correct. So you lay great emphasis. And we're talking about breathing, yoga and stuff. So it is, of course, breathing here. The water availability of a region or nation is largely decided by hydrometeorological and geological factors, is largely determined, is largely witnessed, or is largely governed. And the freight availability from the annual precipitation and the utilizable availability from the annual precipitation and the lessened usable availability from the annual precipitation and the qualitative availability from annual precipitation is well above our requirement. So we think option two, that is that the water availability is determined and the utilizable availability. We think that is correct. Has Shaktish answered? Yes. Mehek, yes. And that is indeed the correct form of words to be used. Not for current. Governed and qualitative, no. The utilizable. We are referring to utilizable availability as in how much water can actually be used, how much of the water is actually usable. They fear that any original thinking or nonconformist initiative may attract accusations of transgressions, making PSU, that is public sector undertaking, managers shun risk and stick to procedures and peculiarities, malfeasance, making PSU managers shun risk and stick to procedures and precedents, excellence, making PSU managers shun risk and stick to procedures and patience, wrongdoings, making PSU managers shun risk and stick to procedures and projects rather than break out boldly in new directions. Now try to read it again. I'll stay on the slide a little longer and tell me what the appropriate words are. Okay, Pratibha thinks it's malfeasance. Stick to procedures and precedents rather than break out boldly in new directions. Only Karan is thinking transgressions, procedures, and peculiarity. Karan, do you think procedures and peculiarities will go hand in hand there, or should it be procedures and precedents? Let's see. And malfeasance and precedents is the correct answer here. So procedures and precedents. Like I said, not peculiarities. You have procedures, you have precedents, so norms and everything that has been laid out before. Special dash are made for their meals, but officials dash the long working hours without any overtime. Special proposals, special parties, special arrangements, special efforts, but officials do the long working hours, but officials view the long working hours, but officials rue the long working hours, but officials slew the long working hours. So which combination is correct? Pratika and Meda think three. So special arrangements are made for their meals, but officials rue the long working hours. And three is indeed correct. Rue means to loathe something, to hate something. They just dread, they don't want to deal with it. So three is correct. Ideally, regulation should help stop the manufacture of blank use plastic articles such as carry bags and cutlery and encourage the use of blank materials. Is it disposable, degradable? Is it anti and harmful? Is it pro or pure? Is it single and biodegradable? Meda thinks it's single use plastic and biodegradable materials. Pratika also. Pratika also. That is indeed correct. Option 4. The use of fingers. Now we have a few one word substitutions for different disciplines and different lines of work. The use of the fingers and hands to communicate and convey ideas is also called cartography, velography, dactylology, or genealogy. Medha thinks it's dactylology. Shaktija, Karan, Mehek, Pritika, Pratibha, Shreya also joined us a while ago. Ayushi. Shaktija thinks it's cartography. Shaktija, cartography is the discipline of drawing maps. Dactylology is the correct answer here, okay? Cartology is referred to cartography. Cartology refers to maps. The practice of therapeutic use of sunlight is known as cryography, selenotherapy, horticulture, or heliotherapy. So, using sunlight as therapy is which of the following? Shaktija thinks heliotherapy. Medha and Shaktaja are correct. It is indeed heliotherapy. A person who compiles dictionaries is called a seismologist, a lexicographer, a magnetographer, or a phraseologist. Medha thinks it is a lexicographer. Medha has put in the first response. Shakti also thinks it's a lexicographer. Pritika, Aditya, we are correct. That is indeed a lexicographer. Okay, what about this phrase? Rahul fought tooth and nail to save his company. Does it mean that he fought with weapons? Does it mean that he fought as fairly as he could? Does it mean that he fought using unfair methods? Or does it mean he fought with all of his energy? Medha thinks it's fighting with all of your energy, the phrase fighting tooth and nail. And that is correct, fighting tooth and nail. And we come on to the very last question. We should guard against our green eyed friends. Does it mean rich friends, jealous friends, handsome friends, or enthusiastic friends? Medha thinks it's jealous. What do the rest of us think here? Shaktaja thinks rich friends, green eyed rich. Meg thinks enthusiastic friends. Green eyed refers to jealousy because we use the expression someone is green. That means they are jealous of something, right? Envious of something. Green is the color of envy. So green eyed refers to jealous friends. And that was your last question. So, how are we feeling with our general preparedness? Did we uncover any other patterns? Did someone uncover something they're doing wrong? Shaktija, have you improved with your spellings? Let me know in the comments, guys. Again, the key here is to practice your full length mocks, to practice your English mocks, and read up a bit. Otherwise, apart from this, I think we are under, no lack of reading materials. We have plenty to read from. Oh, you thought green money. So, oh, you thought dollars are green, so this is green. That's okay. But green refers to the. Remember when we think of expressions, colors and emotions, red is anger, right? Similarly, green is envy. Mehek is finding difficulty in idioms. Just go online, look up some idioms, just go through them briefly. Practice the full length mock and the English mock. There are plenty of idioms and phrases in there. And yeah, but we were talking about green eyed there, so that signified jealousy. So guys, I hope today's session was helpful. Let me know in the comments if it helped you or not, and how you were doing with the mocks and everything else. We had a last thank you so much, Medha. I'm glad it helped you. We had our last paper today, the full length mock. I am really hopeful that you are all attempting it. It's very, very essential. After giving the mock, what should we do next? Pratibha, if you have attempted all the papers so far, I would encourage you to reattempt them. If you have not attempted a paper, go attempt that first. All the papers are available for reattempting. Make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're not skipping out on any mocks. So if you are at a point where you have attempted all the mocks, go back and reattempt them. That is what I would tell you. Attempt the past year papers. They're also available to you. Make sure you're doing that. And just take good care. These are the final few days before the exam happens. Make sure you are um, well prepared. Make sure you're in the best position mentally, physically, and emotionally as well. And if you do that, you will, of course, succeed. Of course, as always, we are here available to help you with the mocks. If there's any confusion with respect to the questions, you can reach out to me directly. I'll help you out. My team will help you out. And just be very careful in answering the questions. Just be very careful in learning what you are doing wrong and fixing it immediately. So with all that, the paper, I'm hoping will go, you'll pass it with flying colors. I'm hoping the cutoff is a point that all of us here will reach, all of us here will, attempt above and succeed with. So just take care that you're attempting all the avenues, that you're exhausting all the avenues available to you. Again, you have your marathons, you have your quizzes, you have your mocks. Make sure you're doing all of it. Don't skimp out on efforts right now. This is not the time. This is the time to fight. So make sure you're fighting. If you're not fighting right now, there's not a lot you'll have to look up to. If you're fighting, if you're struggling right now, if you're suffering right now, that is the right spirit, because that means you're making some attempts. And after that, I'm hoping within a week and a half, I'll have excellent feedback and, a general tone of hopefulness from all of you. So, all the best for your exams. Take care, guys, and reach out to me in case you need any query resolved with respect to mocks, your subjects, your English portion, whatever it is. I'll, of course, help you out. Take great care of yourselves and remember to fight. Remember to, I would say, struggle a bit also, because if you don't, someone else out there is doing it, and that exact person will surpass you in the prelims. So let's go. Take care of yourselves and have a very good night. Take care, guys. Bye.